yesterday, I think it was, the Office of Evangelization sent out a prayer that really spoke to me. And so it's one of those litanies. It's called the Litany of Peace. And so there's a phrase before it, and it ends with "Deliver me, Jesus." But just a couple of the things that kind of spoke to me. Maybe we can post this somewhere for people to access. But just a couple of the things that spoke to me. O Jesus, whose yoke is easy and burden light, graciously hear me. From the fear of uncertainty and unknown of the future, deliver me, Jesus. From the false perceptions and distortions that I create in my mind, deliver me, O Jesus. And so as I'm reading this, it's just sort of saying these things out loud and kind of naming them, and then entrusting them to the hand of the Lord was beneficial to me. As you get toward the second part of the prayer, it kind of invokes the Lord to step into that, that place that you're in. So the prayer goes on to say that I may seek peace from you instead of from the world. Jesus, grant me your peace. That I may surrender my pride to allow your peace to reign in my heart. Jesus, grant me your peace. That you desire to give me rest when I am heavily burdened. Jesus, grant me your peace. So it's just a beautiful prayer, and it really, just praying this just helped me change my whole perspective, and to then have a mind and a heart of trust where I was not really looking through the same lens at the world. And I just thought that was beautifully helpful. And today we even got together and spoke about how Scripture can do that for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just been reflecting on it. So you pulled up that prayer as we were talking. And I've been very much thinking about how the way that either my experiences or the way I was raised, whether that be by the culture itself, right, or the culture of your family, all of these things shape the way you see the world.
Right.
And most of them, I have to say I'm blessed that a lot of what shaped me growing up were good and wholesome things. Mm-hmm. But there's still there's things that lies of the world that creep in, and
for sure.
You have a bad experience, and Satan uses that to kind of drive home a lie into your life. And how those things, then we have to sort of figure out what those things are and rid ourselves of them. Or more importantly, let God rid those things from our lives.
Right.
And I think the more we enter into prayer with the Lord, the more we are able to, obviously receive the sacraments. We can't do that right now, but be able to read Scripture. Read Scripture and have that shape how we see things.
Right.
I don't know. There are moments where I'm reading Proverbs and it's like I'm being hit in the face with a 2x4.
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
Yeah. I think that sometimes even our feelings play into this. Our feelings can just get us spun up and twisted around, and being able to speak into that. The easiest thing to me is always Scripture. If you pick up the Bible and just start reading it and if I remind myself of who God really is, and then that seems to quell, the anxiety or my at least not running off with my feelings and reacting to everything and all of life based off of these feelings.
Yeah, and I think also holy friendships make a big impact. I recently was talking to a good friend of mine who's in seminary in the Diocese of Boise, and we just had a really spiritually fruitful conversation, and it was eye-opening. He helped me through his comments about his own life or reflections, and then through his questions of me to see that the way I was viewing the world in certain ways was completely contrary to God's desire for me, right? And so it's there was something about having those holy conversations with a good friend who's also grounded in sacraments, grounded in Scripture, that there's that kind of bouncing off of one another to grow in a wider view.
For sure. I think it's always helpful if one is feeling a little, I don't know, this morning I told you I felt like one of the Psalms speaks to a pelican in the wilderness. So when one's feeling like a pelican in the wilderness, it's good to reach out to those friends that you know that you have, that can receive from you a spiritual battle, if you will, and who
Mm-hmm.
can themselves speak into that, because you know that you have spiritual conversations.